Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We have started October and that means it is officially my birthday month, which is super fun and exciting. I have some video ideas that I'm really excited about. Hopefully I will have the time to film and edit and upload them. But first, to recap my September reading. In the month of September, I read 6 books for a total of 1,984 pages. The longest book I read was 439 pages, and the shortest book was 127 pages. I read 3 hard copy books, 1 ebook, and 2 books I read the hard copy and followed along with the audio version at the same time. 3 were from the library, 1 was a gift from a friend, and 2 I bought for myself. The first book is The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie. This book I didn't start in September. It's one of the ones that I read aloud with my husband while we were on road trips. So I can't even remember when we started it. It was either August or maybe even July. I don't even remember, but we finished it in the beginning of September. The Mystery of the Blue Train is a Hercule Poirot mystery, and it is about a woman who is gifted a jewel that supposedly is cursed. She ends up on a train, the Blue Train, along with this mysterious woman, along with a few other people, one of whom, of course, being Hercule Poirot, and somebody ends up dead. The jewel is missing, and now Hercule Poirot is trying to solve the case. I gave this book 3 out of 5 bookmarks. To be honest, I did not enjoy it at all up until the ending. It seemed to just take a long time to kind of get into the plot. Hercule Poirot wasn't even introduced until maybe halfway through. I don't read a lot of straight mystery books. I tend to read more mystery thrillers or psychological thrillers, so maybe this is just not my target genre. But I didn't love the majority of the book. The ending, though, was kind of fun, and I liked how things were resolved at the very end. So for me, though, it was a 3 out of 5. The next book I read was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I did a full book review a few weeks ago that I will link to, but this book was 4 out of 5 bookmarks for me. I absolutely loved it. I have thought about it many times since I finished it. I absolutely adored the character of Patroclus. Oh, I guess I should say what it's about. If you haven't read this book, it is a retelling of the Greek myth of Achilles and Patroclus. And I was vaguely familiar, like I'd heard of Achilles, I'd heard of the Trojan War, but I didn't know very much about it. So it kind of gets into Achilles starting from when he was a young boy. It's told from the point of view of Patroclus, and it starts when he's a young boy and when he first meets Achilles and how their relationship develops, and then the people that they meet, the experiences that they have, and eventually into the Trojan War aspect of it. It's a beautiful story. It left me with all the feelings at the end. I will link to my video about it if you want to see my full review. The next book I read was The Woman Who Lied by Claire Douglas. I gave this 4 out of 5 bookmarks, but that was kind of a hard decision. I almost DNF'd it, but the plot was so intriguing to me, I had to keep going, and then I did enjoy it, but I didn't love it. It was kind of a mix, but overall I did enjoy it. The premise of this book, it's actually about an author, and I love books about books or authors or libraries or anything like that. So this is about an author named Amelia, and she is publishing, I believe, her 10th mystery novel. Only a handful of people have read the final manuscript for this book that's about to be released. Well, all of a sudden, things start happening that are mimicking crimes and details from the previous books that she's written, which of course unnerves her and she doesn't know what's going on. And then eventually things start happening mimicking the book that has yet to be released. So Amelia has to figure out who is doing this and who in her inner circle is doing this, because it has to be somebody who's read this manuscript, and figure out all the pieces, try to protect herself and her loved ones. Secrets abound. There's some twists. It was pretty good. I gave it 4 out of 5 bookmarks. The next book I read was I Have to Tell You Something by Zara Boss. This is the book that I unwrapped last month for my physical TBR. My best friend gave me a copy of this and I absolutely loved it. It's a book of poetry and it was really beautiful. I definitely want to read some more by this author. I think there are at least 3 more that they've published. These poems primarily talk about healing and various aspects of healing. Love and grief and loneliness, self-worth, all sorts of topics. I really like this book. I'm so glad that it came up on my Wrapped TBR, and if you enjoy poetry, this might be a fun one for you. I also read the next book in the Beartown series, Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I read this with one of my good friends. We kind of did a buddy read together. This is one of the books that I did a combo reading the hard copy and listening to the audio. I started reading the hard copy and realized that it might once again be an emotional read, which I figured it would be because it's Frederick Bachman, but I kind of just needed a little bit of emotional space, I guess. I wanted to read it, but I wasn't ready for the full immersive sobbing experience. So sometimes with audiobooks, it can kind of help create some distance, if that makes sense. So it was a good fit for this book. It's kind of hard to talk about details about this book because it does talk about so many things related to the first book, and I don't want to give spoilers to the first book. But if you've read the first one, it pretty much picks up pretty quickly. I think it was a year after the first book ended, and it picks up with all the same characters. A few new characters are introduced. We continue to hear from some of my favorite characters. We heard from a character that I was really wanting to know their story in the first book, but that was only touched on, so there was more of that in this book. Very beautifully written. Frederick Bachman is an amazing author, amazing writing, very emotional, so good. I loved it. This was 5 out of 5 bookmarks for me. The last book that I finished in the month of September is The Mercies by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And this book I read for the Ellen Made Book Club, so I'm not going to talk a ton about it right now because I want to do a full video, hopefully sometime soon, on my experience and But a brief description, this book takes place in the 1600s in a town in Norway, and in the very beginning of the book, there's a big storm that ends up claiming the lives of most of the men in the town. So everyone that is left is primarily women, and it's about these women coming together to rebuild life as best as they can and continue to provide for themselves and their families. Well, a few years later, just as they are figuring out life and figuring out how to pick up the pieces, someone comes in, and this is a man who is known for finding and exposing and burning witches at the stake. So in the story, we have independent women, we have historical reality about witch hunts. We see two women primarily banding together and their friendship. I enjoyed this book. It's not my typical writing style. It's not my typical genre even, but I really enjoyed a lot of the themes, and as it went on, I really enjoyed the beautiful way that it was written. It took me a while to kind of get it, but once I did, I liked it. I gave this book 4 out of 5 bookmarks. Okay, so my TBR for October. I don't really know, to be honest. I still have my book club, but the book has not been announced yet, so I'm not entirely sure what the book club pick will be. And then, since it's my birthday month, I am debating if I want to unwrap a new book for my TBR, or if I just solely want to read what I want to read. I think I want to unwrap a book. I think that's what I want to do. I guess if it's my birthday, I can choose if I want to read it or not after. So here are my books. I have the numbers on a little piece of paper. Okay, sorry, some of them are kind of stuck together, so I need to refold and unstick them. Okay, I'm gonna see what it is. Number 9. Oh boy. I was gonna say it's a thick one. It's not thick, but it's not thin either. Let's see. You know, why did I have a feeling it was gonna be this book? Party of Two. I have never read any books by this author, but I keep seeing her talked about. So I guess I'm gonna read my first one. This could be fun. If any of you have read this, let me know what you think. I am in the middle of a book, but I'm not going to say which one because I'm hoping that it will fit for another video that I want to upload if I can get myself to film and edit and upload. I also have a copy of the new Leon Moriarty book that I cannot wait to jump into, so I am hoping to get to that this month. But I think other than that, I'm just going to go on vibes. I'm just going to see what I want to read, what I feel like reading. So there is my September wrap up, my brief and vibey October TBR. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is on your October TBR? Are you reading fall related books or not necessarily? I'd love to hear that as well. And until next time, happy reading.